the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit with your host. As always, it's me, Kip. And we're back on digital duty because Chris can't keep his fucking hands out of his mouth. We've got hand, foot, mouth disease spreading across the studio. Luckily, I got my girl Eve on the ones and twos, and I'm going to go ahead and give her the official second chair, seeing as she's the only non-sickly human there. Fuck you, Chris. Stay in the corner. Eve, how are you doing today, sister?
I'm doing better than Chris, I guess. Feel great.
It feels like we say that once a month, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like the kid cannot, he just puts everything in his mouth, whether it's a toy he finds on the playground, a fresh bong, a pre-roll. The guy can't stay healthy. And so we're back in quarantine doing a little bit of a episode. Across the way, I guess we might as well check on him. CB, how you feeling, Bubba?
I've turned off my camera because I'm so upset. That was
Well,
really
you're doing
that
us a
was really
favor, to be honest. You look like a bag of shit anyway. But how you
I
feel?
can't wait. I can't wait till y'all get sick and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I would bring food for you. But then I remember that time when y'all were so very rude to me on the podcast.
Bring food for us. Yeah, right. You're
Chris,
so full of
you-
shit.
Oh my gosh. And I obviously, because I couldn't go on my ski trip this week, I have like 14 chocolate chip cookies here.
Do they have salt and caramel in them?
These ones have peanut butter chips in them.
You can miss me with that shit. Well, we have a great episode for y'all today. There's been a lot of news, a lot of shakeup in the Colorado cannabis community in 2024, and we're going to debrief some of y'all on some of that. In addition to that, we'll get Chris's mountain review from the weekend of his quarantining, and then we will also dive into a little bit of a teaser about the March Madness Committee. If there was ever going to be an opportunity for the community members to kind of lobby for their restaurant, we have exactly 4 weeks until we launch this fucker into the moon. So we will give y'all the genres, but we're not going to give y'all any tips as to who the restaurants may be. CB, how did you think about the genres?
I love it. It's getting better and better every year. And plus, like, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a way for everybody to have skin in the game because you've got to be able to throw in somebody or have a favorite in one of these categories, one of these regions.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, we always give gift cards away to the winning restaurants as well as from our friends in the community that sponsor the March Madness. So if you can correctly guess the final 4 of the March Madness, you get a gift card to each of those 4 restaurants. You also get a care package of Doja and alcohol, which is a pretty good deal if you ask anybody that listens or follows this podcast. That's about all we care about. That and our dogs. But besides that, you can't ask for anything better unless maybe PetSmart did throw on a gift card. But realistically, it's going to be a kick-ass year this year. And it starts today. We are in the final countdown. It's conference season, and it's also tax season. We've mentioned it. They are our title sponsors from now until April 15th. AKA the tax day, AKA the boogeyman day. Well, it shouldn't be scary for you in 2024, especially if you reach out to our friends at Seed Money Consulting. We said it last week. We're going to continue to say it until we're blue in the face. Seed Money Consulting is a one-stop shop, whether you're looking just for tax help or if you're a small business that needs to kind of get all of their financials in order. These are the folks for you. No matter your industry, no matter your circumstances, maybe you didn't pay taxes for 5 years running. Don't worry. They'll handle all of that. Maybe you just need them for April 15th, 2024, as you navigated maybe dipping into your savings, cashing in a 401k. Maybe you filed for unemployment for a couple months. No matter your circumstances in 2023, do not leave money on the table in 2024. Our friends at Seed Money Consulting are here to help. You can reach out to them by going to their website at www.seedmoneyconsulting.com, or you can give them a call on the old landline, 720-255-1108. They work with folks in cannabis. They work with folks that are small business owners. They work with folks that work in the restaurant industry. No matter what you may do, hell, you could be a Fortune 500 company. They'd still love to assist. Do not leave money on the table this year. That's the name of the game. We don't leave food on plates. We don't leave money on table. We don't leave a hand unshaken. That is the goals for 2024, and Seed Money Consulting is there with us. Stay local, shop local, eat local. Get your taxes done by somebody that works here in Colorado and knows the system. That's Seed Money Consulting. Chris, I like this little backdrop you did. I tuned you out so I can do the ad reads, but it looks like you've got a little bit of Grammys going. Before we dive into anything, Eve, can I get your rundown on the Grammys? Because I'm sure you're going to shit all over the Swifties or something that's going to help our approval rating.
You know, I had no idea they had occurred until this morning. I saw a little news article. So I was like, oh, the Grammys happened. So I don't care.
Okay.
Well, okay. Hold on. Because I was laying up sick yesterday. So I watched a little bit of it. And I got to say, when Tracy Chapman
that one
came out, holy shit, that was a banger. I mean, I haven't heard that song, like I just haven't thought about Tracy Chapman in a very long time. And that was pretty cool.
I mean, I thought it was really cool. Obviously, Luke Combs made her song go viral in 2023 again, as it was a hit when I was in high school. It was a hit when I was in elementary school. Shout out to my mom and Pepsi Pops concerts. Tracy Chapman was a fucking vibe growing up, and to see he bring her song back into relevancy, and then for him to join her on stage for her first live appearance and gosh knows how long, it gave me all the feels. And I didn't watch a fucking iota of it, but as you know, I'm criminally online, like constantly. Yeah. It's a virus similar to whatever disease you have today. I'm constantly online. So I have watched the full-length version of them playing together at least 20 times. And it didn't bring me to tears, but it brings chill bumps because, oh my God, her voice is just magnificent. And she's telling a story. And I know that maybe Luke Combs doesn't necessarily resonate with her audience and vice versa, but they just killed it. And she kills it. And if this springboards her into wanting to go back on tour or even just doing one-offs, I would be smitten to be able to catch her in concert in 2024.
Oh my God. I mean, it was awesome. And the song is just fucking great.
I mean, that and she has a couple heaters, and I'm sure Luke Bryan does as well. I'm not besmirching him by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, it's a doozy. Chris, usually we ask best thing we ate last week, but you probably just ate chicken noodle soup or some shit like that, if I had to guess, eh?
No, I went to dinner with you on Thursday or Wednesday, Dick.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was a doozy, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, apparently not for you. You forgot about it.
Chris, I have pickled my brain so hard that at this point, I'm surprised I can make it home at the end of the day. But at the same time, that was a fucking blast. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Shout out to our friends at High West Distillery for letting us partake in delicious food, smoking indoors in Cherry Creek, which is definitely frowned upon, and dank ass food from local and dank sips from High West.
What was your favorite bite that night?
The fried quail.
I like that. I like that, but I like that. I liked the pasta. The
agnolotti.
Agnolotti.
It was a doozy as well. That was really solid. I had, what else did I eat this weekend? Oh, King of Wings, chicken wings. I was getting prepared, shooting our favorite spots to eat or to order from for Super Bowl. So I got to tee off on King of Wings and check out their new location. But the snow kind of kept me inside. So that I think Thursday was my last hoorah.
Eve, what'd you do this weekend besides being locked down by the snow when you did get out?
Well, yeah, I was stuck inside. And then Sunday I just went outside and like walked around because it was nice out, but I didn't really do a thing.
What
God
was your
damn
best
it.
bite?
I love
But you know what I did, Kip? You know what I watched? Guess.
You watch True Detective?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up.
Oh
good.
shit, I haven't watched last night's. Or yeah, fuck.
That's totally fine. We'll wait and we'll talk about this week's episode on Thursday so Chris can catch up. Because now that there's three of us, I really want us to be able to engage in dialogue. Oddly enough, the people that tune in for restaurant reviews and stoner news also enjoy Eve's recaps on television and movies. So I'm glad that we've got her on board for the show as well.
I mean,
Eve,
obviously.
Shut
Eve,
the fuck up, Eve. I'm talking.
right now, what's your stance on True Detective so far?
What's
Just
my
up
stance?
to 3.
It's so slow.
Up to
I like it.
episode 3. Okay.
I don't think it's
course you
too
do.
slow. I don't think it's too
Me
slow.
either.
I was prepared for that, so maybe that's
Yeah.
why it doesn't bother me. But I like it.
I mean, I think the
I'm
plot
in.
is, I enjoy the plot. And then the internet, since y'all don't use it very often, has caused a direct line from season 1 to this season with some tiebacks to Matthew McConaughey's father. If you haven't seen it, Reddit will show you that deep cut, but it's meant to draw a couple parallels. And maybe we did discuss on this podcast and I just don't remember, but I know that the internet is definitely a talk about it. So do a little Redditing before we discuss this week's episode, Eve, with
Ooh.
Chris. I know it's very
Okay.
exciting.
I'm intrigued.
I started a new show and you're going to get mad at me.
What is it?
It's called The Traders.
I don't know what that is. What
it's a-
channel is that? Or
Okay, it's on-
network?
It's on the Peacock Network. And listen to me before you shit on me. There's a group of 20 people, some of which are famous.
Oh, that one hosted by Alan Cumming or whatever. Are you?
Yes!
Did you watch the first season? Because it's in
I
on
watched
its
the
second.
whole season, and at the end, I was like, "How the fuck could somebody do this to other people?" It's kind of vicious. I'm not saying it's good television. It's very corny, but there's good bones to the concept. It's very vicious.
What's a vicious thing? Because I remember in the preview they showed like people being buried alive, but it looks so cheesy.
that's-
I'm like,
yeah, that's
obviously they're not
never
going
done.
to do that, but like, still laying people down in the
vicious
ground is
is-
intense. But give me a vicious.
Single
Example.
mom getting voted out because she's not friends with the clique. And then I won't give spoilers. There is a girl that doesn't come from much of anything that gets royally fucked of money because she put her faith in one of the Survivor players. It makes you go, shit, that's kind of fucked up. That's the kind of show it is. If you like corny reality TV, this is a little bit more brazen than that, but you have to be someone that fancies themselves a little bit of The Bachelor or Survivor. It's in that realm, but I like it. So make
Okay,
fun of me all
thanks.
you want. Eve.
No,
It's very-
just that example was super vague and not what I was
I don't
looking
want to
for.
ruin the season finale, but it's fucked up. Like how these people treat each other and they just bald faced lie to each other's faces so that they can get a crack at only one person, maybe two people showed that they're actually good humans. Everybody else was out to just fuck everybody over to get $250,000. So it's pretty fucking mean in terms of like the spirit of gameplay. Like, what would you do for $250,000? Would you look like an absolute asshole on television for the whole world to see? And by whole world, I mean like the 30,000 people that subscribe to Peacock.
Yes. Did you
know,
guess right who the bad person was?
So we are the third person viewer gets to know. And so you kind of see, and then there's cheesy workings, like you were saying with the buried alive and the missions they have to perform. Very corny. But the gameplay is kind of, it makes you like uncomfortable. Like, capitalism winning. It's it's like who would you fuck over to get this money? And it shows you who would do what. And so it's interesting, but it's also corny as fuck. So I just wanted to get ahead of that. It's not great. It's bad television, but I started watching it. Who's an actor, Eve, that's no skips? Like you're watching all of them.
Toni
actor,
Collette or Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt's a good one.
Even if the movie doesn't look great, because Toni Collette doesn't do all great stuff, I'll be like, I gotta watch it. She's in it. I gotta do it.
No, that's not a bad one. I feel like she's oftentimes like, especially I guess in Sunshine, Little Miss Sunshine, she's great, but it's always like, oh, I know that woman from something. Like I've seen her somewhere. Like when you recognize her in like an offshoot movie or something, you're like, oh, she's been in something.
Yeah, and she does good little like indie movies too and stuff like that. So,
do you have one like that? Do you have somebody that's in no skips?
Me?
You, the other person here joining us today, Mr.
Yeah,
Sudafed.
Obviously, Leo. Leo
Really?
DiCaprio. What? Yeah, I know Eve is a hater over there.
Yeah, she hates. We know.
he's fine.
You don't like him.
No, I like him.
You besmirch his name all the time.
When?
I bring up one of my favorite Tarantino.
Okay, thanks for gaslighting. Bullshit. You're really good at it.
I mean, I know you hate Once Upon a Time in Mexico, or in Hollywood, excuse me.
Hollywood. Yeah. No, it sucked.
I thought it was funny.
All right. Okay, so that was a
Pandering.
pretty good intro, E. Let's dive into our topics of the week. Let's start with the cannabis news. Chris, we've seen some of our guests from the podcast are no longer with us in terms of the industry in Colorado. Thomas Mitchell from the Denver Westward, your colleague, a damn good author and a hell of a reporter here on the scene and the beat in Colorado, dropped an article with guest of the podcast, John Spadafora from Veritas today, announcing that they were going to, amidst layoffs, shut down their grow and start outsourcing their flower to find small batch farmers across the state. This comes after news of Coda edibles. Everybody knows the coffee and donuts, the creme brulee flavor, and there are other chocolates that have been staples on the shelves for the last 8 years, as well as 1906 have ceased operations in Colorado. I think Coda just fucking went under, but 1906 is going to other markets rather than operating in Colorado any longer. Chris, any thoughts on the State of the Union?
It just sounds like a tricky situation right now. I think it's just going to level out the playing field. I have no idea. It just seems at one point there became too much competition, and now that competition's kind of working its way down. And it sucks because a lot of people are losing their jobs right now after, a couple of years of where it was actually marijuana retail sales and everything were looking really good.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't know what it's going to mean for the future as we see, things like this continue to happen, especially with what we would consider to be name brand operations. So it kind of is a little bit of a cause for concern. But at the same time, if you're going to have to shift off of Coda edibles, what would your edible chocolate bar be that you're going to go for? Because, coffee and donuts had a stranglehold on the scene for a while there, and I don't know the inner workings, but we know that purchasing is down. A lot of folks will say things like inflation, but who are you going to reallocate those funds for if you had to pick a chocolate bar that you'll fuck with now?
I'm trying to think of the name brand. Obviously Incredibles are coming out with really good ones. And that's just an old staple, but what's the other brand with an L?
L?
No.
It's all right. I gave you a bunch of edibles earlier, so the fact that you're still upright, I'm not expecting you to know names, but I do love that it does kind of throw a wrench in your hat every time I'm like, name the brand you're high on, like Nove and things. It makes me laugh.
Nove. Why was I thinking L? Yeah.
Bravo, my friend. Yeah, there's still a market for it. It's a fucking beast,
Yeah. I guess I really have no idea. You have your finger on that pulse a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, there's Bensk has an edible bar that's kind of in the same vein. I don't necessarily know if they're going to have the cinnamon variants of the chocolate breakfast bars, but at the same time, like the market for those bar, like the Munchies, is another one that has a bunch of white chocolate offerings. Don't forget staples like Chiba Chews, and then obviously you can always just make your own at home. I mean, we were just talking about how your girlfriend slash fiance makes dank ass fucking cookies. Let's just give her a little cannabis butter and see what she does with it. She's a wizard. So, I mean, it's an interesting time in the industry. And then with 1906, they caught a couple strays when they were trying to operate with that fast acting, cheaper medicine up in Massachusetts and got pulled from the shelves for technically being poison. And then it was just a bad PR operation at that offering.
yeah.
But I mean, they're going to be off the shelves. I actually liked their little tabs. I mean, obviously, there's a few other ones, and I feel like you could do just as easily knock back a few joy bombs in the same vein as knocking back a few 1906s. But I thought they were fairly effective. So it is kind of surprising to see them just get up and get out.
No, I do too. And that is surprising. Like I enjoyed 1906 packaging. You know, those little tubes you could just pop. It was just like popping a Tic Tac. Um, and I enjoyed those. Like the little 5 milligrams. It'd be nice when it's sunny outside. You just pop one in and go for a walk. But I feel as though some of these companies, their branding might have, in a way, maybe died off or slowed down. And now I think consumers in the edible game are going for something really high quality. You know, not to say that any of these products weren't high quality, but I think though now, especially within the chocolate bar scene, like people want to see more flavors. People want to have like these things that really taste like chocolate and maybe have like a nice like terpene taste, not some of these side kind of tastes that you get with some gummies.
Yeah, I mean, the gummy game is definitely still a very saturated market. I feel like chocolate's in there. And we've recently talked about how we need more savory edibles. But at the same time, we're starting to see more of especially in Colorado, it's more of an intelligent consumer base, especially that like people know what they like. But I also at the same time, like while distillate may work for some, it's a more educated base. Some people want a cleaner, different buzz. Some folks want a little bit of that hashy aftertaste, but not like an overwhelming, like burnt brownie on the front end, where you can sometimes get them. You also want a steady Eddie high, a
Yeah.
buzz that you're going to get every single time. And so I think that's oftentimes a big part of it as well. But we wish them all the best. And for like Veritas is now going to start outsourcing their flower, according to Thomas's article with John Spadafora. They're going to outsource it to smaller batches into a farm down in Durango. So we'll see what kind of quality that comes out of the kitchen over there in the coming months and see what kind of comes of Veritas. And we'll keep our thumb on the pulse as best as we can over there. Speaking of thumb on the pulse, I think we would be remiss if we didn't at least give a nod to Thoy, the restaurant underneath Chef Long's operation, the PKR spinoff that was in the shared space over there in Park Hill with Jan Wonton and Sweet and Sourdough. They've decided, I think that was 2 weeks ago. We'll try to find out what happened over there, but we wish them the best. And if you're looking for his dank ass eats now, you can find them at their PKR stand inside of Avante. And of course, you can find Jan Wonton and their unbelievable dumplings all over there in the Park Hill hood. What is it, Fairfield or Fairfax over there? I don't know what the name of the street is.
I think it's Fairfax.
Yeah, you may be correct. So, staying true to the neighborhood, you can still get great dumplings over there, and you can still hit up PKR inside of Avanti, where I was just the other night for a send-off. It's going to be a doozy of a month, Chris. We're kind of hitting on all the bases. Before we dive into our reverse Yelp, I guess it's time to unveil the topics for March Madness. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are loose genres. from these genres, we are going to find 64, or we're going to take the top 68. They're going to be ranked under these subsets as to, and however they get scored. Everybody has the same scoring system. And then we'll take the top scores from each region and they will be auto simulated into the bracket. We'll give the top 4 point scorers 1 seeds, and then everybody else will kind of meet about. So here are the subset genres. We're going to do fine dining, meals on wheels, aka food trucks. This is where Penelope and Jan Tan came out of last year to win it. And fine dining, which is where Annette came out of 2 years ago to win it. The next one is our marijuana themed Get Baked and Deli Vibes, which is all bakeries and delis that serve up. I mean, even like we saw Bakery 4 made a deep run into the Final Four last year. So this year we have Get Baked and Deli Vibes. We've got Latin Flair, Asian Eats, Fresh Nudes, Can't Put Me in a Box, which means all sorts of worldly snacks, restaurants that maybe beat to their own drum. And then we've got Munchies. So your pizzas, your chicken wings, your smash and dash type restaurants, things of that nature that don't necessarily fall into any of the genre of foods. We have a couple different ones. So realistically, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different genres. And we're going to take all of those and take the highest scored from all of those regions or all of those genres and give them a point association. And the tops will follow up in a bracket from 1 month from today. So that'll be a doozy. Chris, you fucking ready?
Yeah, I got to start working on my list.
But those, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Eve, how excited are you for your first March Madness?
Well, I don't really understand it, but I'm ready. Just how brackets and stuff work. I don't fucking get it.
I love
Seed
it.
1, what the fuck is that? I don't know.
It means like you're number 1, and then so you don't have to like you get to play a worse team.
Okay, so
he
maybe
can't even
we don't
explain it. I don't know what the fuck's
don't
going
let Chris is not our ambassador. And for those that are listening that remember last year, I was traveling during March Madness, and I was
Okay, that was a minor incident.
And we had a minor incident where Chris forgot to tag the restaurants in the voting pool. And we forgot to give a shout out to our sponsors, but it's okay. This year, I'm doing my travels in February instead of March, and I'll be back with more than enough time for us to film our Selection Sunday show, Chris. Aren't you excited?
Yeah.
Chris, that explanation of how a 1 seed is going to play a worse team could not have been worse.
I know. I'm sorry. I should have just asked, what don't you get about brackets?
It's okay. You tried.
Eve, I'm sorry about that. We'll show you the whole lay of the land. I'm going to get a chalkboard and get one of those sticks and just point it for Eve.
Yeah, please.
But what we do is, for those that are listening and they're new to the pod, every March we get the best 68 restaurants and we put them in a bracket. Every Monday through Thursday, we have 2 restaurants square off against one another in our Instagram stories. I put up a poll announcing the matchups of the day, and the community votes. The restaurant and their friends and whomever they're friends with and all of that jazz are able to campaign on behalf of one another and their friends. So what we end up seeing is people from across the country giving a shout out and supporting these local restaurants of Colorado. And we do it every Monday through Thursday or Friday, depending on how the schedule shakes out. And our tournament ends around the same time as the March Madness basketball tournament. And so it's just a fun way to make March Madness inclusive for those that don't give a shit about sports. But it all is dictated by the community. So what we love to do is see restaurants get behind it, the chefs, the front of house team, but also friends of the owners and things of that nature. And the best part about it is we get sponsors from those in the restaurant, the liquor world, and the cannabis space to sponsor the whole tournament. And so the winning restaurant gets a big care package, whether it's a spending spree with our friends over at Bar Green Ellingson. Y'all remember I was talking about them when on my Seattle trip? That was the reason I went up there. They're big supporters of the March Madness bracket, and they also support a lot of restaurants in the community and across the country. Same for Quarterstone Restored Wood. They're going to do a front of house makeover for the winning restaurant. If they want a new bar top cover, if they just want a table sanded and waxed, whatever it may be. And then you mix in the cannabis and the alcohol from our friends at Starbuds and Mr. B's. You can't beat it. And we give away gift cards to restaurants along the way. It's really it's our favorite month of the year. It's like Christmas for foodies, for people that worship at the Lord of Bourdain. All right. Well, can we get into reverse Yelp and call it a night?
Okay. So this review's on TripAdvisor, which I feel like should tell you something. Anyway.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking loser. I mean, that's like he probably has an email address with AOL.com that's registered to his TripAdvisor account.
Socks and Tivas.
He probably wears socks when he fucks as well. All right, sorry,
right.
Eve.
No, it's okay. So here we go. On finding the right place, we felt like mice in a broom closet, owing to its verticality, higher than it is wide.
Wait, time out.
What?
He uses the word verticality.
Yeah. And there's dashes in this review as well. Like he's like very.
I hate this guy so much,
Yeah.
and I don't even know what was. We'll get to the score. Keep going.
Yeah. The menu is quite small as well in terms of rather few offerings. The cocktail list is adequate, but all featured gin. Serving portions are mostly on the small side as well. Acceptable given that the cuisine is Spanish, and that means tapas, not mains. On the plus side,
a fucking loser. He's like, I
man.
get that he's like, the food's supposed to be small, and I'm mad that it's small, and I'm here.
This guy's got a small penis for sure. I mean, like he's talking about everything in terminology that people refer to size of wieners. It's adequate.
And then he defines it. He's like, this is what it means, by the way, what I'm talking about. Like, okay. On the plus side are 3 aspects of the dining experience that saved the day for us. Number 1, our server was attentive, friendly, and knowledgeable. Number 2, preparation was wildly tasteful. And 3, prices that are the lowest we've ever encountered in downtown Denver. $77 for my wife and me, which included drinks, 3 courses, and all taxes and fees, but not tip. If you're in the neighborhood and looking for a quick bite, this is literally the perfect place. And then, out of 5 stars, he gave this place 3 stars, even though it's the perfect place.
What the fuck? 3?
Yeah.
Suck a dick to get 5.
It ends with, this is literally the perfect place. 3 stars. Like, what the fuck?
So that's a staunch critic.
But to give something an average review, despite calling it literally perfect, makes this harder for the restaurant than it does anything else. Because literally, it's complimentary in every facet. It's like the staff is exceptionally kind. Warm butter and regular water, and then it's literally everything you can do. And he's like 3 fucking stars. And someone somewhere is going to be like, oh, I just see 3 stars. I'm not going to read this bullshit novel that this guy who's self-impressed wrote about this restaurant before giving it a 3. And to call it a vertical what? What was it?
I think the verticality was the trigger for him.
It felt like they felt like mice in a broom closet, owing to its verticality.
This guy's a virgin. I can guarantee it. But realistically, like, that is flabbergasting. I just don't know what you would have to do to get, a 5, and then you look and see what this guy gives 5s to, and you're like, okay, this checks out. So I'll leave it at such. The rest of the people on this thing, they've got glowing reviews. They've got over 60% are excellent, and then the majority is all very good. And they have as few, like, single-digit average ones, thanks to our friend over here. So I think the restaurant is going to be okay, especially because of all the flattering comments. But it's literally like, what does this person have to do to give a 5-star? You probably have to have someone flirt with them, is my guess, because it sounds like he had a great experience. I don't know why he besmirched them in the scoring category.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even see it that way. I bet he's like, oh, this was nice of me. I did a good thing.
He's probably an older person that's just harder to please.
But he's given 5 stars on his account. He's actually done that. Oh, okay. Because there's people out there, like on Yelp, they'll be like, "Well, no one's perfect, so I never give a 5 anywhere because nothing's perfect." Those assholes.
That's Chris.
Are you that asshole, Chris?
Yeah, because I fucking write Yelp reviews, Eve. God damn it. No, I don't do Yelp.
Okay. But have you heard people say stuff like that? They'll be like, "I never give a 5 because."
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like, just give them a 5. Oh, it's a 4 because no one's perfect. I'm like, get out of here. Hate those people.
This guy wants to be a writer for one of the newspapers. I mean, he loves a hotel restaurant. I'll tell you that.
Oh, watch out, Chris. He's after your job.
I think I'm
Chris,
fine.
have you? Yeah, you've been writing up great reviews. I mean, I've enjoyed those thoroughly, and you're putting us on some sleepers that I didn't know about. What do you have on the docket this week? Can you give us a little tease?
Taco truck. So I'm approaching it at a different angle this year. Now I'm just, rather than trying to find food trucks, the best way to do it now are breweries have gotten a lot better at posting their schedules. Like back in the day, I felt like breweries would post a schedule like maybe halfway through the week and you'd miss half of the fucking food trucks that were going to be there. I think breweries have gotten a lot smarter with their social media game on the food truck scene. So I just follow those and I'll like usually new ones pop up every now and then.
Do you have a couple breweries you would recommend our listeners to follow if they wanted to maybe find out? Like, I feel like Novel Strand does really well with having like hot spots, and they always have like heater reviews and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think the best overall breweries for food trucks, Station 26,
Oh, that's a
uh
good one too.
Long Table over there by Jan Wonton and them.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Cerebral. Cerebral always usually has some good ones.
So with good beer comes delicious food. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah. I mean, normally like those are the hot spots. Also, Zunai and Joyride usually have a good rotation, and they're pretty good about posting their schedules, so you can kind of see like throughout the week. Oh, maybe they're serving like Asian this day or tacos that day. Yeah,
I
but
like it.
always looking for recommendations because some people may know food trucks that haven't quite broke through the social media game. So yeah, I think you've sent me a couple.
Yeah, and what's it called? So if you are listening to this and you have a friend that's got a food truck and they need to kind of get a little pop and get some publicity without having to pay for it, Chris is writing cool stories about food truck operators and their food, obviously, and how they kind of came to fruition. You can email him, Chris at stoned-appetit, APPETIT.com. And if you have a reverse Yelp, maybe you had a customer that loved their experience, but you just couldn't get across that average seal despite being much more above or much higher above, reach out to Eve at stonedappetit.com or shoot us a message through our social media. We're happy to help anybody that's in the small business doing their thing. A quick shout out to our friend Dave Hadley and Samosa Shop. As we mentioned a couple of weeks ago with their lamb smash burger, their creative tiki masala fries, and other things of that nature, they had just opened their brick and mortar operation inside of Hell or High Tiki downtown, right there in the former Blake Street Vault. Unfortunately, over the weekend, the bar caught fire. The sprinklers went off and soaked out the whole fucking kitchen. After Dave and them just kind of got their ducks in a row, shoot Dave a message at Samosa Shop. If y'all are trying to host a private event or you're trying to host a party, they're currently going to be without a kitchen. So if you need a private event catered, or if you're hosting a birthday party or whatever, they're available. And also just shoot them a message and let them know how much you care about them. Let them know his food is great and that tough times don't last, tough people do. So we're thinking about you, Dave. We love your Brood Bear, and we can't wait to see you back in action, back in the kitchen soon. Eve, did we miss anything else today? We didn't call Chris a pussy nearly enough.
Did we talk about how I won the draft?
Damn it. Eve, you did win the draft. You won it, and handily, I'd say. You kind of pulled away right there at the end in terms of the voting. But when you look at, yeah, you're up a lot now. You're up 2%, which is like 78 votes. We had a lot. We had over 1,939 votes. No, 1909. Somewhere in the 1900s, and you're up a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm
As
trying
it
to do the
should be.
math. Chris, you were not even close. But it's okay.
That's okay.
It was probably your Audrey and Jerry, and I think what cost me was my Ryan and Marissa. Eve, congratulations! I think it was the Christina and Owen and the Buffy and Riley from DMs.
Really? Not Ross and Rachel? I thought that would kind of just solidify me. I was a little nervous about the Buffy thing because I wasn't sure how people felt about them.
I think that's where you have like a harder stance. Like that first round was a wash because Bella and Edward and Ross and Rachel kind of have that same demo. I think that's where you kind of did well. I got lucky with the Jeff and Kelly. That one saved me. They're like, ooh, that's a sleeper, great pick. So I think that's what kept me competitive. But yeah, you kind of ran away with it here in the afternoon. Do you want to give a congratulations speech with a little background music?
Congratulations speech to myself. No, I'll just sleep well tonight.
Yeah, we do a draft first of every month. So tune in the first episode. We just yell at each other for a couple hours. But yeah, so I don't know what Eve kept in this episode, but we hope it was a good one. We ramble like we always do. I hope everyone has a great week. On Thursday, we have some heartbreaking news that we'll tell everybody about, as well as some great news that we'll tell everybody about. So y'all get ready for a doozy on Thursday. Until next episode, stay high, stay hungry.
Verticality.
I win.
Cheers.